Good morning. Here with my friend Bob Batcher, the Executive Director of Primeplus Senior Centers. Bob, it's so great to see you. How are you
It's
today?
awesome to see you in this new way.
We're making it work, right?
That's right. You never know what tomorrow is going to bring, so you might as well take advantage of it today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Bob, I know you from your many years with the city when you used to do the interviews and be in charge. So it's weird to be the interviewer interviewing anyway. So tell me,
But you do a good job of it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I had a good mentor. So tell me, how have you made that transition to Prime Plus? How long have you been with Prime Plus? And then I want to talk about what's the situation there right now.
Well, I retired from the city in 17, June of 17, or May of 17, and 10 days later I went to work as the executive director of Prime Plus. Prime Plus is an independent nonprofit. So even though I was with the city, I'm no longer. But some of the principles and the essence of how I was the PR guy for the city of Norfolk was building community. And that's really the principles that we did at Prime Plus, is bring the idea of bringing people together in community and accountability in that community in working toward a holistic approach to health and fitness. So it's been really, really exciting. We've seen a lot of growth, but more importantly, not necessarily growth in the organization is important, but the growth in individuals. We talked a lot about neighbors building neighborhoods when I was with the city as a philosophy. And when I start seeing people get a hold of their lives, having gone from isolation to now becoming part of a community and saying, I want to have a purpose. I want to do something. That's what was really exciting. And then March 16th came because we built that community in brick and mortar at the Norfolk Fitness and Wellness Center over on Newport Avenue. We've been there since the building opened. Prime Plus has been around for 52 years and worked in the city of Norfolk has been a great partner in making that happen. But we were a brick and mortar organization. So all of a sudden on the 16th of March, we had to say, ooh, now what? And as well as everybody else. So that's what we've been doing.
How are the seniors adapting to the technology, et cetera? And I mean, how are you communicating? Is it phone calls? Is it Facebook, website, Zoom? What devices are you using and how are you training folks?
All of it. And in fact, there's even been 6 feet apart. We've had some members who have gotten together in somebody's front yard and caught up. That's the challenge. And I guess instead of using the word senior, let's talk about post-career people.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, because while we're in our careers, we're using the technology. Zoom became a very natural thing for people who are working to start connecting up with. Emails. We use email all the time. We had a board action the other day that I for a vote, and I was three people shy of getting the vote that I needed. And when I called them, I discovered is that they didn't really know how to do reply all because we take it for granted, but they email their grandkids. That they don't use the talent anymore. So the challenge has been, how do you reach people when technology is the greatest, newest thing to do? When they've got their iPad, the grandchild gave them, and they're using it as a coaster because they don't understand it. So one thing we're working on now is putting content on Facebook and on Zoom. Facebook Live, we have a couple of our instructors have volunteered to come back and they're doing some Facebook Live content, yoga, things like that. And then the members are discovering. In fact, I was checking my phone before we got ready to come on it. On Facebook, there was an exchange going back and forth. How do I find Angie's class? What time is it going to be happening? Yeah. And I've been doing weekly kind of Facebook Live talks where I just kind of set up and stream of consciousness and basically and try to give some assurances that the world is out there.
Yeah.
The best way for us to really connect is for people to look out for others. That neighbors building neighborhood. If you've got a senior in your neighborhood and you haven't seen them around for a while, go knock on their door. Or better yet, call them on their landline. They've still got one. And then when you get them, they might have the iPhone. Kind of take some time to coach them through on how to use it. Yeah. So what we're doing now, we're doing outreach where we're talking to our members to just see how they're doing it. What's most important is the members are talking to members. We've got a whole group of people that did ceramics, about 18 of them. And I talked to one of the ringleaders the other day, and she's been staying in touch with the other 17 women, just to make sure they're doing okay. First, she called me because she wanted to get in the building to get their stuff. But we were able to use that conversation to kind of do a wellness check. How is she doing? And then she's kind of discovering this whole thing and how this works. So if we can get people introduced to technology, then I think they'll grow from it.
Are folks able to get sort of their basics? And, I worry about, my mom, my mother-in-law, they live alone. Fortunately, we live nearby. And, although here's the thing, Mom, if you're watching, do not go to Harris Teeter again. She goes a couple times a week. She shouldn't. And we're here to help. But I understand people want to get out. Are folks finding what they need? Are they getting the medicines and food?
There are certain levels of vulnerability. I think with some seniors, they were vulnerable before all this happened. And thanks for the food bank and the senior services Southeast Virginia, they're doing an awesome job of taking what we call congregate meal. We have a free lunch program at Primeplus under brick and mortar, where we would have maybe 45 to 50 people a day eat free lunch. They've now taken those people's names and have then started taking food to their homes.
Right.
So the ones who were vulnerable before, hopefully we've got a safety net that's caught them. I would encourage people to give, contact Primeplus, and our phone number, we take voicemail, so 625-5857 to call if you have a need, and we'll try to connect you up. But then there's the people like me. I'm in that category. I can take advantage. By the way, tell your mom the best time to go to Harris Teeter is if you want to, is between 6 and 8 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's when she goes.
And go on Thursdays, you get your discount. And the cool part about it is seniors play by the rules. So they're wearing their masks, they're wearing their gloves. There's certain, and I kind of say that jokingly, but in reality, we're used to following the rules. So if we're not beginning as a vulnerable, the vulnerability that we have is the vulnerability of isolation. Yeah, we're getting food. Our mortgages are being paid. Our rents are being paid. We've got the income coming in through Social Security or whatever we might have. And we've got a certain standard of living. My concern is that silent vulnerability of isolation, which starts leading, number one, keep in mind, for people like my wife, she's kind of enjoyed this time, except for me being home. She's an introvert. She likes kind of having that quiet time where she can do devotionals and read. But if that becomes your new norm, it can become dangerous. Mental health becomes a real issue. Your health starts diminishing. That's the big thing, is the doctor's office. We joke with seniors that their life revolves around doctor's offices, and there's a regimen to that. We get dressed, we're ready. It's our big outing, and all of a sudden they call and say, "No, we want to do it over the phone." Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, how do we do that? I like looking at my doctor. I don't want to just talk to him. How's he going to take my temperature? How's he going to do my blood pressure? There's all these unknowns that they start dealing with, and that becomes a vulnerability and anxiety. So that's why I would encourage, if you've got and I love what you're doing, and staying in touch with your mother-in-law, in either by calling. One thing I discovered, true confession here, I used to get really aggravated with my stepmother. She's 80, she's older. She would have the news blaring in the background when we would talk, and I would always want to say, just turn the news off and focus on our phone conversation, until I realized that she was watching the news with us. Mm-hmm. And so that way she could watch the news and actually relate to what's going on with us. How do we feel about, the president versus the governor and all that kind of stuff that we all talked about. Now you have to do it over the phone, and that's connectivity.
The connection is really what it's all about. My mom talks about she's used to having a routine. And it's mm-hmm. that lack of routine that's really challenging. She wants one of my children to go in to get her oil changed and her car inspected, like now. Mm-hmm. But you're not driving, and nobody's going to ticket you for not having an inspection. And I'm telling on my mom, but she said, "But this is what I do. This is my peace of mind, my preventative maintenance. This is how I live my life," and I respect that, right? So we're trying to figure out how to make that work. Luckily, I have an 18-year-old who knows how to change oil. Believe it or not.
There you go.
So, but yeah, routine is so important. Imagine for folks who are post-career, even more so.
Mm-hmm. It's do what you normally do, just kind of try to do it differently. One of the things we talk about a lot in Primeplus is that by working in community and kind of sharing with people, you start developing a new beginning. And that's what's really cool, is as you go through life and you have these transitions, you have a new way of looking at things. I had a friend who was a retired doctor, and he he was having a tough time. He was having some early memory loss and that kind of thing. And his son said, Dad, you've got to buy a new car because of the technology on it will counter your diminishing capabilities. And they said, but John, that's an opportunity to kind of rediscover how you might do something. Get a bus pass, use iRide, look at other options. I was on a Zoom call with a group of people that do senior care, and there was a gentleman who's in career, not a senior, who said, I'm not going to learn this stuff. And he's self-employed. And I looked right at him. I said, then you're in trouble. If you're not willing to kind of look at new ways, even little tiny things, kind of explore. That's why with technology, if your mom is used to playing Sudoku or whatever, or solitaire on her phone, take her there, compete with her, and then say, hey, by the way, try this. Just one thing at a time. I don't know when to quit in showing people new things, but just take one step at a time. And
it's a great idea to play games online with your family members. It happens. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm going to go beater and backgammon today.
There you go. Well, our operations director at Primeplus has been here since she graduated from ODU for about 13 years. She's brilliant. And she made the comment to me that was so obvious. Find the one thing somebody loves and do it with them.
That's a great idea.
You might have to do it differently, but do it with them.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do for our community, for Primeplus, and beyond. So many years of service to serving others. So Bob Batcher, you're a real gem here in Norfolk and our region. So thank you. Stay well, stay home. If you're going to go out, wear a mask.
Oh yeah, I have my wife won't let me leave the house unless I have my mask and my gloves and so I got to follow the rules.
Well, when and if we return to some sense of normalcy, I look forward to seeing you, and keep up the great work with Primeplus. I'll put links in the video for folks if they want to learn more about your services, or, and as importantly, if they want to donate to the great cause. So
thank you.
Stay well.
Thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye, Bob.
Bye-bye.